Hi, my name is Maceo Lewis. Welcome to ML Sports Talk. Today I'm going to talk about LeBron James opting in $52.6 million to stay with the Lakers. As you all know, I'm a Laker fan, so I'm going to cover the Lakers mostly in my sports talk channel. I mean, I'll cover other things too, but obviously I'm going to focus on the Lakers. And I want to talk about Rich Paul's, ambiguous comments associated with that signing. But first of all, I want to just focus on the positive about LeBron opting in. Because I know a lot of people, I've talked to a lot of people about LeBron being on the Lakers, and obviously there's always chatter going around like, hey, he's taking up too much of the salary cap, they need to trade him or something. But what you're forgetting in terms of the positive that LeBron brings, number one, he's like the greatest longevity player of all time. You have to understand that and recognize that. Number two, we acquired Luka Doncic in the trade deadline last season, so we got Luka for the future, right? And I think Luka he can benefit from LeBron by having another full season with him because they only played like less than half the season together last year, right? So if Luka is serious about getting in shape or whatever, and learning from LeBron, who is probably the greatest in terms of keeping in shape at his age, at age 41, and he can play at this high level. Like, how much do you think that LeBron can teach Luka? If Luka's willing to imitate LeBron and follow that example, that can help us keep Luka over the long term in terms of his health. So I'm thinking of it in that way. Okay. Now, look, there are hindrances to having LeBron on the salary cap. I mean, yeah, there's the luxury tax. We have the new owner. He can, basically pay the luxury tax. That's fine. But also, we have to worry about the first aprons, the second aprons, and all that stuff. A little bit too complex. I'm not going to get into it in this discussion. But to make a long story short, yeah, it does hinder us in terms of acquiring free agents and making being able to make trades and stuff. But I think the benefit in the short term, what Luka can gain in the long term, I think overall helps the Lakers by signing LeBron at least for another season. Now, what this tells me is that pretty much LeBron's here for this year and he's going to retire after the season. That's just my guess. I don't have any inside information. I don't know LeBron or Rich Paul or anybody in this camp. I'm just guessing as a fan, just like anybody else. I think this is LeBron's last year. He's going to give it one more hurrah. He feels he can stay play at a high level, be near the top 10 players in the game. He averaged 24 points last season, close to 8 in rebounds and assists. And he still feels they can give it another go. And he might as well because after this, he's not coming back. Once he retires, that's it. He's moving on to bigger and better things. And, he's just trying to, appreciate it as much as he can while he can do it. He doesn't want to leave this game with no regrets. Like, oh, I could have got one more year out of it. And, I think the Luka trade helped in that decision, too, because now you have two players that can be first and second, or co-first and co-second scoring options, or Luka could be in the game while LeBron's getting the rest. So that certainly helps. But I think this is pretty much it for LeBron after this season. Now, another thing with this signing, I think it pretty much hinders him being traded to another team. And here's why. Now, look, I'm not going to get into the details about the CBA or the aprons and all that stuff. But bottom line is when you have a player that's on the nearly $53 million contract, it's going to be very hard to find a team that's a contender for LeBron to be traded to, because LeBron has a no trade clause. Let's not forget that, right? LeBron, I'm gonna get into to Rich Paul's comments, but it sounds like LeBron would be willing to waive his no trade clause on the condition that he can be traded to a team that could win right now this season. I think that's going to be hard to find a team that's, well, first of all, we need to know who the contenders are going to be heading into the trade deadline. But secondly, who is going to be able to make a move that can trade $53 million in assets to acquire LeBron and still be a contender to win it all by losing those assets, right? And it has to be assets that the Lakers are willing to receive to make their team better, most likely for the future. Obviously, they want assets that can help them win now and the future, but primarily for the help them in the future. So I think that's kind of pie in the sky. That's going to be very difficult, especially if you're talking about teams that are already in the second apron, like Cleveland, right? I don't think Cleveland would be able to do it because they're in the second apron. They can't work out a multi-team deal, for instance. So let me get to. I want to quote Rich Paul. It came out of one of the ESPN articles. I'm just going to quote it directly. This is what Rich Paul said, and I assume he's speaking for LeBron, right? LeBron wants to compete for a championship. He knows the Lakers are building for the future. He understands that, but he values a realistic chance of winning it all. We are very appreciative of the partnership that we've had for 8 years with Jeannie Buss and Rob Pelinka, and consider the Lakers as critical part of his career. We understand the difficulty in winning now while preparing for the future. We do want to evaluate what's best for LeBron for this stage in his life and career. He wants to make every season he has left count, and the Lakers understand it and are supportive and want what's best for him. Okay. Now, some people might think that, read that and say, "Oh, he's going to want to force a trade if the Lakers aren't doing well." I mean, look. First of all, these are ambiguous comments. You could read anything out of them, and that's on Rich Paul and them. If they want to put an ambiguous comment out there, this is intentional, right? They want to get people talking, right? Put LeBron names out there, and whatever. That's fine. But the drawback to that is people are going to read into it, and whatever they read into it, you just have to deal with it. But here's what I think. So I don't think LeBron. LeBron can ask for a trade all he wants heading into the trade deadline, but it sounds like he will want to be traded to a title contender. Now, there would have to be a title contender that could trade $53 million in assets and still be a contender after they lose those assets with LeBron on the team and win that year, right? And obviously, like I said before, the Lakers would want to receive assets to make them better, most likely for the future. Now, LeBron and this hypothetical trade team out there, and the Lakers will all have to agree. Plus, it has to be a trade that follows the CBA rules. And of course, I'm talking about the aprons and stuff like that. So, look, I don't think LeBron has the leverage to come in and say, "Hey, I want to leave," and the Lakers, "Oh, let's leave LeBron." Because look, the Lakers, they can just let his contract end, let it finish out, and bye, have a good life, and thank you for your 8 or 9 years of service. Players, have leverage at times when they are like the franchise players, for instance. Instead of getting anything, the team that loses the player, instead of getting anything in return, the player goes and signs with the other team, and they lost out on something like they could have gotten draft picks, or they could have gotten other players to compensate for that. So that's how teams sort of lose out, and that's how players can have leverage. But in this situation, I think LeBron's going to be retiring anyway. So the Lakers, after this season, aren't going to have LeBron anyway. That's just my guess. And I think teams know that. So why would teams leverage their future if they're not going to have LeBron for another season? So look, if LeBron wants to be a Laker, I think that's clear. LeBron wants to end his career as a Laker. And when I say that, I mean like at a full season. I'm sure once his contract, he can sign with Cleveland or something for a one-day contract and ceremonially retire or something like that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about this season. He wants to be a Laker. He wants it to work. He wants to win this year. I have no doubt about that. But he's willing to waive his no trade clause if things don't work out with the Lakers. Let's say someone gets hurt, or think the team's not meshing. It doesn't look like they're going to be in position to make a run. And the Lakers, they want to build for the future. I think LeBron would be open to helping the Lakers build for the future. But for his personal interest, for his, I'll say self-interest, he would want to go to a team that can win to this year. So that would be the condition where he waive his no trade clause. So that's why I read into those comments by Rich Paul. Like, look, he wants to win this year. He feels he can win with the Lakers, but if he can't, and if the team wants to move him because they feel like it's best for the team and it's a good situation for LeBron, then he'd be willing to waive his no trade clause. I don't see that happening, but look, strange things have happened. I mean, it was no one predicted that Luka would be traded to the Lakers. So strange things can happen, but there is some barriers to that with a $53 million contract, and with certain teams being in second apron status, like a Cleveland, and that's not the only one. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. But so far, look, I can't say, it's too early to make any predictions for the season, so I'm not going to go there at this point. I mean, we don't know who's going to be injured by the trade deadline. We don't know if the whole Durant trade with Houston, if that's going to work out. I mean, it's going to go through, but what I'm saying is we don't know if the team's going to work out, if they're going to get better, if he's going to mesh with those players, or if someone's going to get injured in that team and then they wind up, at the bottom of the West. Who knows? I mean, we'll see who the traders are at the end of the deadline. But my guess is that, LeBron demanding a trade to a contender would be like pie in the sky, asking for pie in the sky or asking for a unicorn. But I mean, hey, look, stranger things have happened, so we'll see. But I think he's keeping that possibility open. So look, I'm gonna look forward to seeing what the Lakers can do. Does this make the Lakers a championship contender? I mean, look, did y'all watch the playoffs last season? I mean, Luke and LeBron by themselves aren't going to be able to win the title. I mean, we're going to have to get a big center for sure. I think they're talking about getting the guy from Portland. I can't think of his name right now, but I think he has to be let go by Portland, or he has to get bought out of his contract. They're trying to get to keep Finney Smith. I hear talks that he might be have already signed with somebody. I don't know. I haven't looked into it closely, but yeah, the Lakers got to make some moves. They need to get a center. They need to get some depth, and the coach has to learn how to use his players. Look, whatever we're also we end up with at the end of free agency and the beginning of the season, Jay just got to figure out. Okay, figure out how to get whoever 12 players we have on this roster. Figure out what their strengths are. Use them to the best of their advantage for the best of the team, and just figure it out. Okay, that's just my thoughts for the upcoming season. So anyway, I'll keep an eye on it, and I'll put out more commentary when I hear more Laker news, and if there's something else that happens that I want to have a reaction to, I'll post about that as well for the NBA. Anyway, my name's Maceo Lewis. Hit the subscribe button so you can see more commentary on sports on this channel, ML Sports Talk on YouTube. And until next time.